You are about to meet the original nasty woman. Remember that phrase? And you're going to find out why her legacy is so very important right now. I use the word nasty in its newly minted sense post-American elections, where who could forget the spectacle of a very ambitious man and a very ambitious woman in a debate? She smiled politely. He called her names. We'll be returning to that. But for now, let's go back to the source, back to prehistoric nasty woman. Who's that? Well done, very good, of course. Have you heard of Frankenstein's granny? Anybody? No? You are about to. You should have. The mother of the author of Frankenstein, Mary Shelley, was the original nasty woman. And to boot, she was an extraordinary person. I met her almost entirely by accident, and it changed everything. So let's meet her. Here she is. It's 1795. Europe and the Western world is erupting. It's the era of revolution. It's the time when humanity is in charge. This is the Enlightenment. Reason is come to town, and the Enlightenment is there. In this new world order, human beings no longer need to ask their God, their king, or their dad for permission to change the world. One human in particular, and here she is, in a little boat on a rocky shore. She's traveled far north from revolutionary Paris. She's on the wild coast of the Skagerrak Sea. What's she doing? Who is she? She is Mary Wollstonecraft, and a couple of centuries later, she became my inspiration. Some of you might have heard of her. She wrote, famously, the original call for equality of the sexes, a vindication of the rights of woman, 1792, in which she argued, apparently preposterously, that women are capable of reason. Who knew? All they needed was education. But what does she mean by reason? Reason. She goes on about it all the time. Reason, reason, reason with a capital R. What does this mean? She's talking about the human capacity for rational thought. She's talking the language of the Enlightenment, when Western civilization moved from the Dark Ages, from fear and superstition, into the light. How did they do that? They did it with their minds. It is what she calls the universal human privilege of applying our capacity for rational thought to an established order and challenging it, of actively using our own minds instead of merely accepting a handed-down tradition. Now, Wollstonecraft applied her order to a hierarchy, a rigid hierarchy, which had been in place since time immemorial. And it went like this: God, king, men, women, non-white people, children, animals. And she looked at this and did not accept it. She wrote the following: "It is necessary emphatically to repeat that there are rights which men," she means people, "inherit at their birth as rational creatures who were raised above the brute creation," she means animals, "by their improvable faculties. We have only to cultivate our reason." She argues that reason is the only thing that lifts humans above animals, above the brute creation, and that it's reason that places each and every human on an equal footing with each and every other human. She applied reason herself. She had a big argument with the Enlightenment philosopher Jean-Jacques Rousseau, who said women aren't capable of reason. And so she proved him wrong by reasoning with him. Look at me, I'm doing it right now, QED. She tackled monarchy, slavery. She had a go at the Hindu caste system. As an ancient handed-down tradition, this is a ready target for human reason. And she described it as debasing to humanity. The application of reason led directly to the rights of man, which is what we now call human rights. Wollstonecraft was fighting that fight right at the beginning, before the terminology even existed. Now, reason was not new as a concept. I don't know if you remember your Hamlet. Oh, what a piece of work is man, how noble in reason, how infinite in faculty. He goes on to list a number of other virtues, but first, of course, is reason. What's happening now, though, in Wollstonecraft's time is different. It's being applied much more dangerously, because if women can have reason, and black people and slaves too, oh, for heaven's sake, where will it all end? Naturally, she encountered some fairly fierce hostility to her ideas, but her radical writings shook the world. She was quoted by the then President of the United States of America. Imagine that happening today. No, I can't. So the mighty historian Mary Beard says of Wollstonecraft, every woman that has a stake in how her country is run has Mary Wollstonecraft to thank. And the Nobel Laureate Amartya Sen has described her as perhaps the most underestimated thinker of the 18th century. Now, a quick aside, I should confess that it wasn't all this noble human rights and reason that kind of captivated me into the Wollstonecraft story. I kind of wish it should be, but no, it was her adventures. Remember when you first met her, the incident with the rocky boat, the wild dark sea? Well, wait till you hear this. Mary Wollstonecraft, the great Enlightenment philosopher and human rights champion, was on a treasure hunt. A treasure hunt. It's because her dodgy boyfriend that she met in revolutionary Paris, she got pregnant, he was smuggling out of this revolutionary hotbed. One of his cargoes of smuggled silver went missing somewhere off the coast of Norway. Guess who goes off to find it? Of course she does. Off she goes, and even better, she takes their 10-month-old baby with her, which makes Mary Wollstonecraft the world's first and only single mum, Enlightenment, treasure-hunting philosopher on the high seas. You couldn't make this up. So, it was this moment, this dark adventure with a baby in tow that completely caught my imagination. And it never let go. I became a bit obsessed. I ended up retracing this journey and took my baby with me and wrote a book about it, like she did on the way. So trying to channel her there, and it was the adventure of my life. It was the most empowering thing, which calls to mind Wollstonecraft's perfect distillation of feminism. I quote, "I do not wish women to have power over men, but over themselves." So this was all very wonderful. Adventures in a boat, women's empowerment, yeah, fantastic. But, and there's always a but, there is tragedy at the heart of the Wollstonecraft story. She died young, and she died twice. First, she died in childbirth, aged only 38, giving birth to the future author of Frankenstein, as we discussed. But then she died via her reputation. Her reputation was murdered by the man who loved her most. Her partner, William Godwin, deeply bereaved and grieving, wrote the first biography of Mary Wollstonecraft, and he included the things that Virginia Woolf describes as her experiments in living, by which she means having a baby without being married, that kind of thing. So This unleashed a torrent of abuse. Wollstonecraft had a lot of enemies, and this was what they'd been waiting for. This was proof that she was a whore, a hyena in petticoats. Her friends were silenced. Her enemies came galloping to the feast. Poems were circulated about her naked body. Overnight, her legacy became toxic. Mary Wollstonecraft was thrown onto the historical scrap heap for over a century. The campaign group, Mary on the Green, is fighting to change this, to celebrate her life and her legacy, so please check out their website. But this brings me back to the opening thought, to the nasty woman, to the name-calling, to the trolling, and to the endless spectacle of the backlash. We've seen it over the centuries, again and again. It's tiring. The response to this has to be true to Wollstonecraft's legacy, her legacy of reason. Reason, or in our current case, the lack of reason, because we've just been through a year that took the absence of reason to new heights. When you think back, where was reason in 2016? Reason, you abandoned us, or we abandoned you. In the words of the American founding father, Benjamin Franklin, if you will not hear reason, she will surely rap your knuckles. Well, let's face it, that's exactly what happened, isn't it? We've been through a troll-rich, loud, knuckle-rapping year. Not so much enlightenment as enshoutenment. Many of us found 2016 destabilizing, irrational. We hear about things like the death of liberalism, the rejection of the secular state, the rise of religious nationalism. My favorite, the so-called post-factual era. The most scary part, we've seen people all around the world voting according to their feelings. Their feelings. They feel scared, or they feel angry. Oh, come on, humanity, you can do better than that. Remember the brute creation, animals? Animals can feel scared or angry. Don't vote like an animal. Wollstonecraft demands that we try harder and we aim higher. We have only to cultivate our reason. There are two ways in an age of unreason, fake news, misinformation, and feelings all over social media. One, the restoration of facts. Facts, evidence-based data, that needs to get fashionable again. Two, ask yourself why you believe what you believe, why you vote the way you vote. Where did that come from? Was that just handed down to you like a tradition? Challenge it. Test your beliefs, explore their opposites, subject them to reason. And I'll end with the words of the ancient Scottish philosopher, William Drummond. He who does not reason is a bigot. He who cannot reason is a fool. And he who dares not is a slave. The fools and bigots are having a field day out there. Don't let Wollstonecraft down. It's time for a new age of reason. Thank you.